Hello everybody and welcome to WhatCulture Gaming. I'm Josh, joined today by the Ewan Patterson.
Hello.
Because big news is brewing. It turns out that after the reveal that Lucasfilm Games was back up and running, it turns out that EA no longer has the exclusive rights to make Star Wars games anymore, and there's currently an open world Star Wars game in production at Ubisoft. This all comes from a really interesting Wired piece that Ewan is going to talk more about in a second, but there are a load of juicy details in there about the future of this franchise and what it means for the future of kind of video games in general, I guess, and a bunch of developers. Ewan, you have all of the tasty details. Could you tell me exactly what is going on here?
Yeah, it's just really weird, isn't it? We get this news unleashed to us. Fairly important news given the, the EA exclusive Star Wars deal was, such a big thing for Disney when they announced it back in 2012 or 2013 or 2014. Yeah. I can't even remember when it first got announced or whatever.
I think.
And yeah, they've just kind of, it's just fallen out in this Wired article that has also announced a brand new Ubisoft game that is going to be set in the Star Wars galaxy. It's going to be an open world title developed by Massive Entertainment, who were most recently behind The Division 2, make it that what you will. But of course, the main sense from this news, I think many will probably say first of all, it's overdue, but also because it makes a lot of sense. We can probably, looking at EA's, period with the Star Wars license, for as much as I've personally enjoyed both Battlefront games and Jedi Fallen Order and Star Wars Squadrons more recently, I think everyone would agree that they haven't really made the best use of the license. You can't have the license for pretty much an entire decade and only, produce 4 AAA games. We know we've got Fallen Order 2 on the way, but still, it's absolutely mad. They've mentioned in the report here from Wired, they said the development on this new title is still very early. Massive is still recruiting for the project right now, so details are sparse. However, Julian Geraghty, director of The Division 2, and the crew will serve as the game's creative director, and the title will use Massive's Snowdrop engine. Beyond that, Lucasfilm haven't really revealed anything else, other than that although the exclusivity deal between them and EA has ended, and they don't actually clarify to Wired in their article whether that was because they've pulled the plug early on it or because the original time frame for the contract was initially misreported. They do say that EA will continue to make certain Star Wars games going forward, so I would expect, sequels to Star Wars Battlefront, Squadrons, and of course, I expect Respawn to continue their work with the Jedi Fallen Order type brand franchise they're developing as well.
Well, there's so much to pick apart. Like the fact that EA are continuing, or presumably will be continuing, those specific franchises, to me is a huge win, because like you said, even though they dropped the ball as a whole over the past few years especially, they were starting to very slowly right the ship with those games, especially, the post-launch support for Battlefront 2, Jedi Fallen Order, Squadrons, and stuff like that. So to see sequels going forward to all of those, and it was, me and Scott actually, on our Monday podcast, we talked about the fact that there were a bunch of Battlefront actors actually doing mocap in Los Angeles at the end of last year, which potentially hints at more content from that series going forward. The fact that that is still in place is awesome. The fact that, Star Wars in general now gets to spread its wings, now gets to go to a bunch of different talented developers with their own interpretations, with their own genre preferences, like that is a cool thing. It is a ridiculous way to announce it. Like when Lucasfilm Games itself was revealed 2 days ago or whatever, I expected that to be it for a little while, but now we've got this Indiana Jones game coming from Bethesda. Now we've got this Star Wars game, or this untitled Star Wars game, like announced in the strangest way ever. It's cool that they've got some momentum behind them, and to me, in general, this is promising. Like all the quotes from the article from the executive who was essentially saying, we want to work with the best people possible. This is very much our collection of toys, this is the Lucasfilm toy set, but we're wanting to collaborate. We're wanting to get people in who can make the most of them and make interesting projects. I'm not going to pass any judgment on this project at such an early stage, obviously, but it sounds very much like it's confirmed to be an open world game, but it sounds very much from the quotes towards the end that they're going for something close to a live service
title.
Yeah, a live service title potentially, which, judging by the developer who made The Division 2, like you said, it's not like a shot in the dark, that idea, you know what I mean? I feel like that's an educated guess.
I would also say as well that even as we can say that this is good news and this isn't, stereotypical EA bashing or whatever, like I said, I really enjoyed the Star Wars games that they did make, even though you could argue they didn't make the best use of the license, because of course they didn't. This is the approach that Marvel have also had since, going back for the last decade, which obviously yielded fantastic results in terms of looking at Insomniac and, the way that Marvel have given the Spider-Man license to them to make their own games. Obviously Spider-Man PS4 was amazing, as was Spider-Man Miles Morales, but that approach also yielded Crystal Dynamics' Avengers. So, just because we're now in a situation where EA doesn't get all the pie, there is the potential for things to go potentially a little bit haywire. And obviously, Ubisoft, a very divisive publisher and kind of video game company at the minute. But, they do open world games. That is kind of their forte. And you would hope that, given the amount of talent there is there, that they will, take an approach to Star Wars that isn't just, how can we make it The Division? How many beanie hats can we give to our players for the kyber crystals they find on Ilum or whatever? Like, this needs to be like, I want to see Ubisoft really kind of go out of their comfort zone here. I don't want this just to be another, Division, Assassin's Creed or whatever. And I hope that Lucasfilm Games have realized that, it's not just a one size fits all for their different, licenses. They have different strengths and they should be played to in different ways.
Yeah, 100%. I guess the worst case scenario for this game would just be that it's an Ubisoft open world template that has Star Wars grafted onto it. I hope, in terms of Bethesda, going back to that Indiana Jones game, they were very out there in stressing the fact that Todd Howard had come to them with a kind of passion project, essentially. Todd Howard, apparently a very big Indiana Jones fan, had an original story that he wanted to tell, and that's what sold them on it. I hope this is the same case here, where the team at Massive or the team at Ubisoft have gone to Lucasfilm with a solid idea, with, a bunch of stuff they want to do, and it's not just kind of a case of Lucasfilm being like, look, we want a successful game. Ubisoft was the most successful publisher in the UK of last year. They sold loads of games. We'll give it to them. Hopefully they can do something, because I think that's what we got with the Avengers, you know what I mean? For all of the strengths that the Avengers does have, I do think that it just feels kind of lifeless. No doubt there are a bunch of talented, passionate people who loved the characters and loved that world working on it, but it does feel kind of like the structure of the game, or the kind of what am I looking for? The mission statement of the game came before the fact that it was supposed to be a Marvel Avengers game, you know what I mean? I hope that approach isn't taken here, but there are so many possibilities now, you know what I mean? Even if we do get a few dud games, which I'm sure we would, I think ultimately and overall, it's better that Star Wars can go to a bunch of different homes and a bunch of different developers, and we can risk it all on something new, rather than have EA's admittedly quite narrow view of what a AAA video game should be, you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Yves Guillemot, Supreme Chancellor Yves Guillemot, did mention in the statement to Wired at the end that, he says specifically that Ubisoft Massive working closely with Lucasfilm Games to create an original Star Wars adventure that is different than anything that has been done before. So I know that's, that's stereotypical, PR jargon coming from Mr. Yves there, but at the same time, maybe it could be an indication that we'll get something new. I do have one question, because we are probably going to be wrapping this up soon, Josh.
Come on.
Given the door is blown completely open now, in regards to who could make a Star Wars game in the future, do you have any specific studios you'd like to see make a Star Wars game in the future?
Dude, it's so difficult, and I don't think it would be possible, and they would never do it just because of, some PR backlash. But just get Amy Hennig back in the old crew from Visceral Games, form some kind of new studio, and just let them make a game under a different mold. For me, for as much as an open world Star Wars game, for as much as a live service Star Wars game might be good, we've had so many teasers of this story-driven action-adventure Uncharted-style title over the past decade. You know, originally it was supposed to be Star Wars 1313, then it was supposed to be Visceral Games' cancelled Star Wars title. I just want to see a version of that come to fruition, and also while I'm here, and after I've just caught up on The Mandalorian Season 2, I just want to see a team take on The Mandalorian as a video game, because that has all the tenets baked into the series already that could be easily transferable. I'm not entirely sure who I'd want on it, but I mean, presumably, you know, being a Sony fan and loving the caliber of talent at the likes of, you know, Sucker Punch or Naughty Dog or just give it to potentially one of them. It doesn't have to be exclusive for me, but you know, Sucker Punch, man. I want a Sucker Punch open world Star Wars game now. I've just talked myself into it. What would you be?
I'd also really like Codemasters to maybe do a new pod racing game. All I'm saying, get Mars Guo in his new Star Wars game with his crazy death noise. I'm not going to do the death noise. You can look it up. Type in on YouTube once you've watched this, Mars Guo, Star Wars death noise, and then go to WhatCulture Star Wars and subscribe to there, because that is also a great time.
Yes, 100%. The future is bright, but I want to know what you guys think down in the comments below about EA no longer having the exclusive rights to make Star Wars games. What do you feel about that in general? Who do you want to see make a Star Wars game in the future? And while you're down there, like Ewan said, go and check out WhatCulture Star Wars for more tasty Star Wars related news. I'm sure we'll have some kind of follow-up video on this, some speculation, a bunch of other good stuff. It's a lovely home. Please check it out. I've forgotten how to sign off videos, to be honest, since we had the New Year break, so I'm just going to say you can follow me on Twitter at Josh Broom, you can follow Ewan on Twitter at
Ewan Ruins Things.
And we will see you soon. Bye bye.
Goodbye there.